Hey friends, how is everyone today? I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to part 7 of our axe build. And I have to say, I could have just done a really quick and dirty, but I'm hoping that I can build on this series as new things come to light, and we can amend this series. But I want you guys out there building axes. That's kind of my goal, on whatever level. If you think you're gonna enjoy it, let's do it. And this is just an outline, actually. I mean, there's a certain amount that you take from people, from books and from resources, but ultimately it's about developing your own style and your own way of doing it, and it working. The bottom line is, does it work, and is it safe? So if you've got, does it work? Is it reliable? Is it safe? Keep rolling. So we're going to start sharpening this, and even though thinning a handle and sharpening are really two separate things, we're going to kind of connect them together to kind of let you into my mindset when I make a custom handle. It's just a little bit more Casterman-ish. But like I said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna couple this with being on the stump, and I would suggest that if you're going to build axes, I mean, unless you're just doing it for your man cave or your woman cave, or it's a hobby, and you just like looking at axes. Mainly, you're not going to use them. I would suggest that if you're going to make axes that you are going to use, or especially if you're going to make them for other people, you need to have a little testing ground. So it's going to be important to have some stumps in the yard, and some wood to split, and some wood to chop, so that you can get some direct feedback to your axe build. So that said, I'm looking at this, and the first thing I notice is the rust. I like the rust. I like the patina. Patina. But if I've noticed with my file that I'm filing rust and not filing metal. And this is a fairly new file, but the bit is also hardened pretty well. So my file's not doing me a whole lot of good. I'm just using my thumb. Now, if you don't have gloves on, this is a bad idea. Having these fingers out of the way of the bit, because this being dull like this, it will still cut you. But I just have pressure, light pressure with my thumb on this, and look at me breaking up that rust. If I were to use like a 320 on this, the sandpaper would get clogged up. So this still has an open enough grit, even though the grit's knocked down. Can you see that? So this is cleaning up pretty well. I don't like to take off patina or metal or wood. I don't like to take it off fast. You want to take your time, and speed will come after you have figured out kind of what you're doing. But this piece of sandpaper is working great. And I'm going to bring it back more. But mainly I'm just saving out a file or a carborundum, because this rust is surface rust, basically, is going to clog that up. So then we'll turn this over and do it to the other side. We're not so hot. This is more of a multi-use type of axe, you can actually see the marks here on the cheeks where I think they probably beat some nails or something with it. Got these little half circles in the cheeks. But we're not going to worry about this. What's going to really help us is entry into the wood. Sharpening's a big deal. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that have the title "How Sharp is Sharp Enough" and all of that stuff. I would say you want to do the best job that you know how to do, because in the end, it's going to make it easier for you. And it's going to save out your axe handle, and it's going to make your axe perform probably beyond what the next guy's using, because you're sharp. And every time before you go out, you just have to touch it up because you've put the work in on your edge. The other thing that I think is important that I have come to realize, and like I said, this is just me. These are my thoughts and my thoughts after, pushing these axes around for a while. Thick, so it's obvious we're going to be taking wood off in the handle area. But I'm trying also to get my balance point as close to here as I can. Back to the edge work. What is that? That is okay. So we're at what is that? That's 20, 25, 30. We're at 30 degrees, basically. That's what that looks like. Now, if we were chopping, that would be pretty beneficial. Let me see if that's in there. Where are we? Yeah. If we were chopping, that would be pretty good. But what this is going to do if we're splitting is going to stick in the stump probably a lot farther than we want it to. You want to get good entry, but you don't want it to stick. You don't want it to go in and then stop. You want to be in the wood to where you get fiber separation, and then the momentum generated by the swing, the axe carries it through the stump. And so that's why 40 degrees. When you bump this back up to 40, let's see, yeah. You bump that back to 40, and you're still getting the bite, but maybe your bite is only right in here. And so probably from here to the center is where our 20 degrees is going to be. So I'm going to end up having to file this or pull this back because we're just too pointy. And then we'll put our 40 degree on the edge, and then we'll blend in that hump to the rest of the cheeks. We don't need to take any more. It's really basically just doing the best you can and taking it out to a stump and adapting, figuring out what you don't like, what's going right, what's going wrong, and fixing it, coming back and fixing it. And that's kind of how we learn stuff, right? So we have our edge, roughly 40 degrees, established with our big coarser file. Not super coarse, but let's see if you can. It's pretty coarse. Focus. But now we're coming in with our coarse diamond stone. And there's a couple of different techniques that I've kind of been piddling around with. The first is to establish a fixed point out here and a fixed height with this. And just swing it around like I got the idea from those chef's knives gadgets. And I thought it was a pretty good idea. First thing I'm doing really is just taking out the gnarly marks. There's some marks from, I guess, somebody hitting a rock with this thing quite a bit. But like I said, that fixed point at the angle, you adjust your hand so that your diamond stick stays consistent, and you just rotate it around. Now, do not do this, obviously, without gloves on. It's not very smart. And inspect your gloves. If they start getting a bunch of cuts in them, maybe you should change your technique a little bit, or get new gloves, or both. Alright, I gotta switch to this guy. Man, I love this Leatherman. You don't have a Leatherman, it's well worth your money. And that's the other thing, is that diamonds are not necessarily directionally specific, whereas a file is a carborundum, not so much, but it just depends on what you get comfortable with and what you get used to. And again, the results. It's all about the results. I'm doing the same thing with this Leatherman. So the first thing that I'm noticing is that this is just way too fat this way, and here it's just too thick. I don't have as much of a problem with the height. Might take that down a little bit, but we're just, especially where you want, it just doesn't feel good at all. But let's see how she swings. Not too bad. Keep in mind, this is frozen ash, so but let's take a closer look at this entry mark here. See how that axe mark, you know, what is that, 1/4 of an inch-ish wide? See how that has opened up, whereas if we were thin, if we stayed at a point here, we would just stick in the wood. I mean, to where it would be unpleasant to try and get the axe out. All data in the old memory. thought this coat's got to go. She sticks good. Got that going for us. Not bad. Watch out, Sammy. Watch out, Sam. What we got here. Back, Toots. Well, I think she feels good. No Toots. So, pretty pleased. And I'm not swinging very hard at all, which is kind of the idea. That's a gob of stuff right there. Oh. So I think we got our angle right. Good start. Well, friends, it's been a long day. I've been trying to put this video together. And so I guess I wanted to pop in after today's, like, basically a research project. I just wanted to say that thank you all for being here. We hit 300 subscribers. Really stoked about that. That's awesome. Thank you so much to the new subscribers, and thank you to everyone that shows up in the comments What's the real takeaway from today? Well, I can talk a lot about axes. But seriously, it really is just an enthusiasm that I'm trying to convey about axes. They're just amazing to me on so many different levels. But you want to be able to have a reliable, dependable, safe tool, and that's really my main focus. And you also want to have fun with this. You may look at some of this and be like, wow, that's just too much for me to even wrap my head around, which is fine. You take what you want and leave the rest. But like I said, I want you all building axes out there. So more to come. We're almost there, though. It's pretty exciting. This thing is really swinging nice. Now we're going to take the nice angle that we know can really blast the wood, and we're going to translate that into a better feel down here where the hands go, and then we'll wrap it up. So take care, everybody. Be kind. I love you all, and thanks again. 300 strong. We'll talk to you soon.